Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another episode, one that is rather unfortunate because it does bring some unsettling news if you are an Arsenal fan. So sit down and listen. Well, Kai Havertz has suffered a knee injury that could see him out for quite the spell because earlier indications show that it may not be a short-term injury. Now, this was broken by David Austin of The Athletic, who did say that Arsenal forward Kai Havertz is set for a spell out with knee injury. Assessments on the 26-year-old German international at early stage, so prognosis and duration unclear, but AFC are actively exploring the transfer market for signing to strengthen attack and provide cover. Now, the mere fact that Arsenal are with reference to that particular injury are already assessing their options in the transfer market to try and find cover is a bit unsettling. Unsettling in the sense that it implies that this injury could be much longer than anyone anticipates. It could be an anterior cruciate ligament injury. I hope that's not the case. I really hope that that's not the case, because Arsenal's options when it comes to strikers, we all know well too well that they are very limited going back last season, and as if it couldn't come any worse, because the season has only just begun. One game has been kicked and Arsenal are already back to literally where they were last season, in the same position, with injuries, suffering with injuries. One player out and suddenly you're thinking we are short on numbers, especially when it comes to our striking line, because at this particular point one would argue that, well, they do have Victor Gyökeres, they have Gabriel Jesus, but Victor Gyökeres has only arrived in the Premier League, less than a month ago or just over a month, and he's yet to settle in. We all know that, so he's going to need a little bit of time to acclimatize, and we do not know how soon that will happen or how long that will happen. Then the other option is Gabriel Jesus, one that I thought Arsenal should have let go of this summer. Of course, that was always going to be the plan, but because he suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury, that has never come to pass. And up to this point, it is not yet clear as of when he is expected to return. He did suffer that injury, I think probably around January. He underwent surgery, he's been doing his rehabilitation, stepped back on the grass, but it's still, again, yet to be determined as of when he will be able to kick a ball in an Arsenal jersey. And even if he were to return, you never know, he could suffer a setback similar to what Rodri has suffered at Manchester City, after recovering from that anterior cruciate ligament injury that suffered in October last year. So suddenly Arsenal find themselves short with numbers, but the mere indication that Arsenal are exploring the market to try and provide cover really tells you that there is an expectation that it could be a long-term injury. Now, like I said, they're still trying to find the correct diagnosis for the injury and how long it will take. But according to David Austin, they're already assessing the market. What does that mean? It means that, well, in the absence of Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz, Arsenal are back to where they were last season, with Victor Gyökeres as the striker and Mikel Merino as a substitute for a striker. In any case, you'd have to shift Gabriel Martinelli to play as your target man, or Leandro Trossard. And we know that Leandro Trossard does not want to play as that outright number 9. He prefers to play as a 10 or coming off the wings and things like that. So, I did say this. My prediction was Arsenal to win the Premier League title this season, but these are some of the things, even though they should not be an excuse for Arsenal and their manager at this point or throughout the course of the season, because injuries are to be expected. I've always argued that Arsenal need 2 strikers, and I'm happy that I'm being proved right before even the transfer window ends, because I always thought, regardless of who they brought in, they needed an extra striker. Or if they are not signing an extra striker, they get to sign a dynamic left winger that can play across the entire front three: left wing, right wing, and center forward. And that's why majority of their speculation has pointed to a player like Rodrigo Goes, who is that dynamic player. The other player on my shortlist was Xavi Simons, who plays for RB Leipzig, but it's Chelsea leading his pursuit. That's the 22-year-old Dutch, attacking midfielder / winger. Then the other name that came to mind is Rafael Leao. Now, Rafael Leao has equally been played as a striker at for those of you that have watched the AC Milan games during the course of the season, he's been played alongside Christian Pulisic in what would look like a twin, but we all know he's a left winger. So he is that kind of player. He can provide you that kind of cover. So Arsenal are quickly having to turn their attention back into the market. As of today, there are reports linking them with a potential move for Morgan Rogers from Aston Villa, but that deal can be very, very difficult because Aston Villa do value the player at about 80 to 90 million pounds. So that's not an easy deal to do. But anyway, in any case, it's not any different evaluation that you would expect for Rodrigo Goes or you would expect for a player like Rafael Leao to sign him from AC Milan. So that's a bit of unfortunate news coming in from Arsenal that Kai Havertz has suffered a knee injury very early on in the season. It's just bad. We all know how much Mikel Arteta trusts Kai Havertz, how much he loves him, how much he loves to play him. In any case, we've been speculating of how can Mikel Arteta fit Kai Havertz in the same team with Victor Gyökeres. And I mean, we were waiting and hoping that at one point in the season, we were bound to see that. Not him being played in a 4-4-2, in a 4-4-2 kind of system, but at least somewhere in the middle to try and accommodate his, preferred German international. But unfortunately, he suffered a quick injury. We'll wait to see what the extent of that injury is. It could be a false alarm that it's not going to be a long-term injury in that sense, that maybe it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or maybe at most a month on the sidelines. But regardless of how long a period he is destined to be on the sidelines, Arsenal need cover. They need numbers. Because, and the reason as to why I've always stressed this is particularly because when you look in their upcoming ranks, they do not have that young striker that once in a while you can call on to try to come and, come play for you, come off the bench, come and maybe start a Carabao Cup game. Years gone by, they always had a player like Edin Ketia who would provide that bit of cover. He did not score the most number of goals, but at least he provided that cover as a striker. They signed Mika Biliath. He ended up in Austria before joining AC Monaco, and they sold him. So really, so when you look around, Chido Martin Obi, that one left and joined Manchester United. So they do not have numbers. They need to put numbers, and they are in the market actively searching for who that striker could be. We'll wait and see. We'll be bringing you the updates, but that's the unfortunate news coming out of the Arsenal camp regarding Kai Havertz. It's very unfortunate, but he suffered that knee injury. Whether it happened in training, we are yet to find out, but at least we did see him in an Arsenal shirt over the weekend. Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Kindly like the video. Do not forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay blessed and bye-bye.